Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another Arknights reaction, and despite my best guess that we would be doing something from Enfield this time around, we're not. I guess Voltorian Games wanted me to listen to Storyteller and the opening from the Babel event, and a lot of people agreed, so I'll be doing those first. I really anticipated seeing something from Enfield this time around, given how fresh it is. That just tends to be the way these things go, but I'm not against being proven wrong, so I guess I'll listen to these and see why so many people wanted me to hear them. So without further ado, let's go! Of course, starting with Storyteller. We're back in the waltz. What is it with Arknights? Pulling out the waltz just on occasion, and always the best moment for it. It's gorgeous. I love the subtle vocals too. Ooh. Wow, God, I was just getting into it. Oh! I thought it was the end. I played myself. Faked out. How could I? Ooh, very slight texture in there. There's the end. Ooh, I kind of want to go hear what the voices are saying at the end of that song. All right, so I tried to listen to the vocals on an isolated track, and I could not figure out what was being said. It's possible it's in another language, or it's been overlaid so many times by other takes of different words that I just cannot decipher any one individual line. That does happen a lot when you start adding those vocal textures in there, especially with that sort of thing. It could have even been reversed for all I know. It didn't really sound like it was, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't be. You know, there's so many ways to handle that, and any of them could have been the case, but I don't know what's being said there, or if it's relevant to the game at all, or if it's just random texture thrown in. It could be any of it. But the song itself is gorgeous. This is another song, I had one a while ago that reminded me a lot of things I almost remember from Anastasia, and this song kind of hits a very similar point for me. It has that waltz feel, it has that melancholic, nostalgic remembrance on it. It's just very beautiful. It makes you want to dance in your own thoughts. It's a very, very retrospective feel. It makes you contemplate things that you've been pretty sure about, but you're not sure about anymore, or you're second guessing decisions you've made in the past, for example. And that's kind of the same vibe that those other songs went with as well, as far as the message and overall tonality goes. There's not too much to say when it gets down to it as far as that goes. That's just what it is. But this song faked me out, and I also have a personal gripe for it, because how dare it? How dare it do that so well? It kind of tricked me out. I thought I had been sitting there longer than I thought I was, and the song dipped, and it came back with the perfect amount of energy, mind you. Like, what I was expecting to hear next was exactly what then happened, and as per usual, that's a sign of an amazing writer, somebody who writes naturally with the progression that you're expecting as a listener to feel and experience. Having something that's way over the top can be extremely jarring, or something that's very underwhelming because they didn't evolve it like you're expecting is underwhelming, obviously. So it's like, okay, cool. This song did exactly what I wanted. It basically added like one extra layer of beef underneath the song to kind of pick itself up off the ground from where it set itself in that gap between the two, and then it just kind of stayed up, you know? They added a few more layers of vocals. They threw in some more interesting concepts on that side. The textures in there were really neat to hear. Just little sprinkles of sound design goodness that I love to hear in these types of songs. Something that's tangible, something that lets you feel the actual texture in this world you're living in. I could see the ballroom I was standing in, or dancing in if you want to go that far, and it's just experiencing this scene mentally, even if that's not exactly where this world's location had in mind. That's what it brings to the forefront of the mind, because that's what we're connecting it to. So if you want something to sound beautiful and regal and very flowy and dancey, of course you're going to pick a waltz, of course you're going to have that imagery in your head of a ballroom, and of course you're going to be able to tie all those together in your mind. So it's a beautiful, beautiful concept and a great song. And now I have to wonder what the opening is going to be, which from what I understand is a boss theme compared to the other one being a lobby theme. So I know it's going to be a completely different sound, but we might actually hear some similarities, maybe some borrowed motif work from either or. So I guess we'll find out. Definitely more intense right off the bat. More sound design texture stuff going on. I gotta wait to hear a little bit more of this before I make a comment. Where are we going? Okay. I mean, thematically that makes sense. I don't know what I was expecting, but I was kind of waiting for it because I didn't want to say something dumb. So this isn't the direction I was expecting, but it's a welcome one. There is a motif. Called it. Great use of that sound. Especially right on a transition line to another part of the song. Fantastic choice. And now it's done. Oh man. Well, that came in and left with no crumbs. That had the same energy in and out. It just showed up out of nowhere and it ended out of nowhere. And as I expected, had a motif in there. Love the inclusion of a good motif when it's put in. And this one had that motif. I was kind of expecting it to lean more into a motif. That's kind of what I was expecting to happen when it got to that next section. That's why I wanted to avoid saying anything until I was sure. And then they didn't, but then they did. I'm getting a lot of this back and forth with these songs today where I'm not getting quite what I expected, but I'm by no means mad about that because they're still implementing it in such a fantastic way. This one obviously was a lot more epic. It wanted to root itself more in that 4/4 time instead of the 3/4 of waltz, which is perfectly fine and completely valid. When you want something to sound rock solid, a 4/4 is a great option when it comes to the beat structure, and a 3/4 is a lot more dancey and flowy, as is the stereotype that comes with waltz. So when you get down to a song like this that wants to scale up that intensity and have a lot more of that epic backbone, you want it to feel more rock solid. You do that. You put it in a 4/4, and it locks into that cinematic feel so much better when you do that because that's just the easiest time signature to follow. And it felt so good when I heard that motif come in and they adjusted it to work in this time signature, and it just felt fantastic. I'm so glad I listened to Voltorian's comment and did Storyteller first, followed by this one, so I had that connection. I'm sure that's what he meant when he said I should listen to the other one first, but, you know, sometimes I just listen to them in whatever order, but if I know that they're in a specific order and they show up in a certain order, I try to follow it because I know motif stuff happens and I won't notice it if it's in reverse. So it's nice to have that context here. And again, yet another banger from Arknights. It's gonna happen constantly and consistently. They have some amazing music. I'm not sure how old the Babel event is. I'm not sure if it's like a more recent one or if it's a couple years old, or like how that works out timeline wise. There's also no composer attached in the credits for this one. It's just the Monster Siren Records standard label. So I'm not sure who wrote these songs and who made them, but they did a great job putting these songs together and having them relate to each other with that motif work and having those slight adjustments to make them feel more tangible. I love music that feels like I could touch it, like it could exist in a museum and I could go and visit it. Whether it's a character theme or lobby themes like these are, it does not matter. The composers that they hire know how to get that sound out of it. They know how to reach that texture and make it shine, and I just love it absolutely. But I think that's about all I gotta say, so thank you all so very much for watching. If you have any other requests you want to make, whether they're from Arknights or anything else, by all means drop it in the comments below and I will do my best to get to it as always. And of course, if you just enjoyed this one and you want to follow me and support me for those other videos in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!